Right now, I mean, at this very second, there's an algorithm sitting in a hospital server somewhere, and it knows a patient in the waiting room is at risk of a cardiac event, and that's before the triage nurse has even taken their blood pressure.
Yeah, it's wild to think about.
Right. And meanwhile, somewhere else, another model is finishing a full symphony based on like 3 notes somebody hummed into a smartphone. And oh, a third one is completely rewiring a French lesson because a student hesitated for exactly 1.4 seconds.
Exactly. I mean, it's a massive shift. We've spent decades treating artificial intelligence like this, super calculator,
Just crunching numbers in the background.
right? Something we keep in the background to manage spreadsheets or whatever.
Yeah.
But that boundary between the cold, mathematical world of machines and the messy, deeply human experience of living, it's just completely evaporating now.
It really is. So welcome to the deep dive. Today is July 23, 2026, and we are tearing into a really fascinating stack of technical research and industry reports that just crossed our desks.
And there's a lot to get through today.
Oh, totally. Our mission today is to figure out exactly how this transition is happening. Because AI, well, it isn't just processing data anymore. It has become this active, intimate collaborator in our health, our art, and even our cognitive development.
Yeah, and we're not just looking at what this technology is doing, but the underlying mechanics of how it's actually pulling this off.
Yeah.
Because we're moving from AI as a blunt instrument to AI as, a bespoke partner.
A bespoke partner. Yeah, I like that. So whether you're listening right now to prep for a big strategy meeting on tech trends, or you're just insanely curious about how these algorithms are infiltrating our daily lives, we are going to cut right through the noise for you.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's unpack this, starting with the most high-stakes arena possible, which is human survival. We're seeing AI step into the role of the ultimate medical detective today.
Yeah, this is the genetics research, right?
Exactly. Specifically, there's this new model developed by university researchers that is diagnosing rare genetic diseases with just unprecedented accuracy.
Right, and the key to this breakthrough, it's really how the neural network handles dimensionality.
Dimensionality. Explain what you mean by that.
Well, for a long time, genomic sequencing gave us a map, but we didn't always know how to read it. I mean, the human genome has over 3 billion base pairs.
Which is just an unfathomable amount of data.
Completely. So if a patient has a rare genetic disorder, finding the specific mutation responsible is mathematically daunting. Human specialists, they're limited by their biological memory and clinical exposure.
Right, because a human brain can only hold so much.
Exactly. A brilliant geneticist might see a specific rare presentation like once in their entire career.
Okay, so to put that in perspective, diagnosing a rare genetic disease the traditional way is sort of like trying to navigate a sprawling, unfamiliar city using a paper map, but just from memory.
That's a really good way to look at it.
But the AI doesn't do that. It's essentially acting as a GPS for the human genome. It has like real-time satellite traffic data of every single genetic mutation ever mapped globally, right?
Yeah, that's a great way to visualize the mechanics. The AI utilizes what's known as a vector database.
Okay.
So it takes the patient's genetic sequence and their clinical symptoms, which we call the phenotype, and converts all of that into mathematical vectors.
So turning biology into pure math.
Right. And then it compares those vectors against a global, continuously updated data set of millions of other genetic profiles. It's essentially looking for statistical clusters.
Meaning it's finding patterns that we just miss.
Exactly. Hidden anomalies in the protein coding genes that a human eye simply can't perceive. Mostly because we can't hold a million patient records in our working memory simultaneously.
Wow. So it's connecting these microscopic dots across millions of data points in seconds. And the result of that is a drastically reduced diagnostic journey.
Patients are getting answers in days rather than years.
Which is life-changing. It leads directly to personalized, targeted treatments. But, this medical integration isn't just happening in specialized genetics labs. There's a major rollout happening right on the front lines right now.
Right, the new hospital partnerships.
Yeah, a massive tech partnership just launched, putting AI diagnostic tools directly into hospital emergency rooms.
The ER triage application. I mean, this is a fascinating crucible for AI, because an ER is the exact opposite of a sterile genetics lab.
Oh, completely.
It's chaotic, it's dynamic, and incredibly noisy.
And honestly, that's exactly why I have a huge concern here. The system is designed to triage patients by predicting the severity of their condition based on their raw intake symptoms and their electronic medical history.
Right.
But, I mean, an ER relies so heavily on human intuition. A seasoned triage nurse can look at a patient's skin tone, their posture, how they're breathing, and just get this gut feeling that something is terribly wrong.
Even if the vitals look okay on paper.
Exactly. So aren't we risking the loss of that critical human intuition entirely if we start trusting a probability score over a nurse's gut instinct?
It's a valid concern, for sure.
Yeah.
But you have to look at what human intuition actually is on a neurological level.
Okay, what is it?
Intuition isn't magic. It's just rapid, subconscious pattern recognition based on years of experience. The nurse is recognizing a pattern without actively thinking about it.
Okay, that makes sense.
So the AI in the ER, it isn't designed to override that visual intuition. It's actually designed to provide instantaneous deep history context to support it.
Okay, so give me an example of how they actually work together mechanically.
Sure. So imagine a patient walks in complaining of mild indigestion and shoulder pain.
Which could be anything.
Right, maybe they just slept wrong. The triage nurse might not immediately sound the alarm based on a quick visual assessment, but the AI algorithm instantly cross-references that intake complaint with the patient's last 10 years of medical record.
Oh, wow. In a split second.
Exactly. And it flags that this specific patient had a slight elevation in a cardiac biomarker during a routine physical, say 3 years ago. And it combines that with a family history of atypical heart disease.
So it's connecting things the nurse would have no immediate way of knowing.
Right. The AI calculates a high-risk probability score and instantly alerts the nurse.
Ah, okay. So it's doing all the heavy lifting of historical data correlation in the background. It's not replacing the gut feeling. It's just handing the nurse the exact missing piece of the puzzle so they can make a faster, highly informed decision.
Precisely. And the initial data from these hospital partnerships is incredibly promising. What's fascinating here is how reducing wait times isn't just a logistical victory. It actually optimizes the entire clinical flow.
Because everyone gets sorted more accurately.
Right. By accurately predicting severity right at the door, the AI ensures that critical cases are prioritized efficiently without bottlenecking the less severe ones. Patient satisfaction scores are going up not just because people are being seen faster, but because the anxiety of the waiting room is mitigated by a system that is constantly mathematically evaluating the risk landscape of the room.
It's bringing a predictive mathematical order to biological chaos, which is phenomenal. But I want to bridge this to our next topic because there's an underlying technological thread here that's really interesting.
Yeah, the pattern recognition aspect.
Exactly. If an algorithm can predict a sequence of biological events, like a patient's risk of a heart attack based on historical patterns, it can use that exact same sequence prediction mechanism for something entirely different, like human emotion and expressive art.
The transition from predicting patient risk to predicting musical harmony, it's essentially the same underlying mechanism, which is pattern completion.
Right.
We're moving from the science of keeping humans alive to the art of what makes being alive worthwhile.
Beautifully said. And the music industry is currently reeling from this. We're looking at a new AI platform that just launched, and it acts as an active co-writer for musicians.
And we're not talking about a program that just cleans up audio.
No, not at all. An artist can hum a basic 3-note melody into their phone, and this generative algorithm expands it. It turns those few notes into a full-fledged, complex composition.
It's pretty staggering.
It generates the harmonies, it decides on the instrumentation, it layers a bass line. It's wild.
To understand how it does this, you really have to look at how these large audio models are trained. Just like a large language model predicts the next word in a sentence, this audio model is trained on a vast library of historical compositions.
Like everything from classical to modern radio hits.
Everything, from Bach to modern pop. It analyzes the statistical relationships between frequencies, tempos, and chord progressions.
But wait, so when I hum those 3 notes, how does it know what chords to put underneath it? Because it doesn't actually feel the music, right?
Right, it doesn't have emotions.
Mm-hmm.
But it has a highly developed probabilistic map of emotional resonance based on human history.
A probabilistic map of emotion. That is crazy.
It is. If you hum a specific sequence of minor notes at a slow tempo, the AI maps that input against its training data. It statistically knows that for the last 400 years of human music, that specific sequence is most often followed by a descending minor chord progression with string instrumentation.
Just to evoke a feeling of melancholy.
Exactly. It's doing advanced sequence prediction in a latent vector space.
It's wild. Mechanically, it's like giving an architect the dimensions of a single room, and they instantly calculate the entire structural load-bearing framework, the plumbing, and the electrical grid for a 50-story skyscraper around it.
Yeah, that's a perfect analogy.
It removes all the technical friction from the creative process.
Which is why so many independent artists are using it as a catalyst for experimentation. I mean, if you have a profound lyrical idea and a basic melody, but you lack the 10 years of music theory required to arrange a string quartet, the algorithm bridges that gap.
It completely democratizes complex composition.
It really does.
But, okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Because you cannot introduce a tool that fundamentally alters the creative process without sparking a massive backlash.
Of course not.
And music purists are deeply concerned. They are sounding the alarm about our over-reliance on technology and asking some very uncomfortable questions about the future role of human creativity.
Yeah, it's a huge debate right now.
And honestly, looking at how powerful this tool is, if I just hum a 3-note melody and the AI writes an entire 4-movement symphony, I mean, generating the sheet music, the tempo changes, the harmonic resolutions, whose song is it really?
Right, yeah.
Are we even artists anymore, or are we just becoming glorified prompt generators?
That is the defining philosophical tension of this technological era. The purists are touching on a very raw, fundamental truth about art. Historically, art has never been just about the final auditory product.
What do you mean?
The value is intrinsically tied to the human labor, the vulnerability, and the specific technical mastery required to produce it. The hours spent struggling to find the right chord on a guitar until your fingers bleed, that struggle imbues the art with meaning.
Yeah, it's the blood, sweat, and tears.
Exactly. When you outsource the execution to an algorithm, you separate the conception from the labor.
You completely bypass the GarageBand phase. You skip the friction.
You do. But we also have to recognize the other side of this paradigm. Does the lack of technical friction invalidate the emotional conception? If that initial 3-note melody comes from a place of genuine human heartbreak, and the AI merely acts as the architectural scaffold to amplify that heartbreak so others can hear it, is that not still a valid human expression?
I see what you're saying. So the human provides the soul, the spark, and the machine provides the statistical architecture to hold it up. It becomes a completely new hybrid form of art.
Exactly. It's a dynamic partnership where the machine is adapting in real time to the creative impulses of the human mind.
Which provides a perfect bridge to the final piece of our deep dive today. Because if an algorithm can adapt in real time to a musician's creative input, it can also adapt in real time to a student's cognitive input.
Moving from creation to education.
Right. We're moving from how humans create to how humans absorb knowledge.
We're taking that real-time pattern recognition and applying it to cognitive development.
Yes, and there is a remarkably innovative language learning platform right now that is completely upending the traditional educational model.
And this isn't just an app, right?
No, this isn't your standard flashcard app where you just memorize vocabulary.
Right.
This platform uses AI to tailor the curriculum entirely to the individual's unique learning style on the fly.
Wow.
Yeah, it analyzes user interactions, tracks their progress, and adjusts the difficulty of the exercises in real time.
The mechanism driving this is known as knowledge tracing. The AI isn't just logging whether you got a translation right or wrong. It is harvesting the cognitive metadata of your learning process.
Cognitive metadata. Okay, explain what that actually looks like for the user.
Think about the last time you tried to learn a language, say Spanish, on your phone.
Okay.
You're working through a module on verb conjugations. The AI is tracking your keystroke latency.
Wait, it's tracking how fast I type.
Yes. It measures exactly how many milliseconds you hesitate before selecting the subjunctive tense.
That is incredibly granular.
It is. It categorizes your specific failure points. Maybe you excel at vocabulary, but consistently stumble on irregular past tense verbs. It basically maps the unique topography of your individual brain and calculates your specific forgetting curve.
Wow. So it knows exactly when a piece of information is about to decay from my short-term memory.
Right.
And it surfaces it right at that exact moment to reinforce the neural pathway.
Exactly. It uses spaced repetition algorithms,
Right.
but they are hyper-personalized based on your real-time interaction data.
It's literally like having a world-class tutor sitting right next to you, washing your eyes. The exact second you look confused or hesitate, they instantly rewrite the entire lesson plan to approach the concept from a different angle.
And the data shows this has led to massive improvements in language acquisition rates.
People are reaching fluency exponentially faster. But again, I have to play the skeptic here.
Go for it.
If this technology is essentially mapping and optimizing individual human cognition perfectly, what happens to the traditional classroom? Does this mean the one-size-fits-all education model, where one teacher stands in front of 30 kids and lectures at a median pace, is officially dead? Are we just going to isolate students with their algorithms?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, especially considering the developers are explicitly planning to expand this architecture beyond languages into mathematics, sciences, and coding, the traditional classroom model is facing an existential threat.
Yeah.
And frankly, it should. The traditional model is incredibly fragile because it relies on standardizing human cognition, which is inherently unstandardized.
Because 30 kids in a room don't process information at the same speed. It's just impossible.
Right. And more importantly, the traditional classroom suffers from a severely delayed feedback loop.
What do you mean by delayed?
Well, a student takes a math test on a Friday. The teacher grades it over the weekend and hands it back on Tuesday. If that student fundamentally misunderstood the core formula, they've just spent 4 days reinforcing the wrong cognitive pathways in their brain.
Because they kept doing the homework wrong all weekend.
Exactly. The latency in the feedback loop causes educational damage.
Oh, that is such a great point. They're building the next lesson on a broken foundation because the teacher didn't have the bandwidth to catch the hesitation on Friday.
But with this AI integration, the feedback loop is instantaneous. The microsecond the misunderstanding occurs, the AI gently corrects, adjusts the difficulty to rebuild the student's confidence, and iterates on the concept until true mastery is achieved.
So no one gets left behind.
Knowledge acquisition becomes entirely bespoke. The frustration of being left behind in a class could theoretically be eliminated because the curriculum bends to the student rather than forcing the student to bend to the curriculum.
The curriculum bends to the student. That's an incredibly powerful concept. And when you pull back and look at the whole board today, that concept perfectly encapsulates everything we've explored.
Yeah, it really ties it all together.
From the emergency room triage to the recording studio to the language app on your phone, AI is no longer this distant, invisible calculator doing math in a server farm. It has become a highly personalized, deeply active collaborator.
It's adapting to our biology, our creative impulses, and our intellect, really mapping our patterns to optimize our experiences.
It really is. And for you, listening right now, whether you're sitting in a hospital waiting room hoping for an accurate diagnosis, or you're staring at a blank screen trying to compose a piece of music, or you're just trying to learn French for a trip next year, this technology isn't science fiction anymore.
It's here.
It is actively in your corner right now, reshaping the mechanics of how you experience those deeply human moments.
Yeah, it's fundamentally changing everyday life.
So what does this all mean? We've built this incredibly powerful predictive tool that is smoothing out all the bumps in the road. It finds the hidden genetic disease faster, it finishes the complex symphony for us, it makes learning a language seamless. It is undeniably amazing, but where does that leave us?
That is the ultimate question we have to grapple with in this new era. If AI can instantly diagnose our complex bodily ailments, effortlessly execute our grand musical visions, and perfectly smooth out our educational learning curves, well, what happens to the human experience of struggle?
Yeah, the friction.
Exactly. It's the friction of figuring things out, the agony of the misdiagnosis, the writer's block, the profound frustration of failing a test. Is that friction the very thing that actually makes us human? And who do we become when that friction is entirely removed by our AI collaborators?